So we're going to talk about something which is called unexplained infertility, where when you go for your tests and you visit a doctor, the doctor says there's nothing wrong. They've gone through different testing procedures, and they feel that there is nothing majorly wrong with your blood markers, or even if they do like a test of the fallopian tubes, they check everything under an ultrasound, and everything seems to be okay. But yet, month on month, you're not able to conceive. You feel like you are doing everything that needs to be done, but then there's something that's not working. So over here, one of the things that I would like to discuss, which is something which we have commonly seen in our practice, is the silent reason why somebody is not getting pregnant. The silent factor is insulin resistance. So insulin resistance, not in the way that you see it in terms of what your sugar levels are. So you can, the typical tests that get done to check whether there is a sugar management issue is your fasting blood sugar levels, which should typically be under 80, and they will also check your PP, which is after you've eaten your meal, after 2 hours. If you check what your sugar levels are, so they should technically be in the range of 120 to 140. If this comes out normal, then the other good marker would be HbA1c, which is a 3-month marker, which tells you on an average what your glucose levels are in the last 3 months. Now, that also usually what we've seen is come out absolutely okay in most of the clients that we see. So your fasting sugar comes out okay. Your post-meal sugar levels also come out okay. Your HbA1c levels are also quite okay. So then where is this insulin resistance coming from? That can be tested through a different test, which actually a lot of people miss out on. When they're testing their sugar levels, they never check their insulin fasting figure. So insulin fasting figure is completely different from the sugar that you're testing. So you have to specifically ask for what your insulin fasting figure is, which needs to be given. Obviously, the sample needs to be given first thing in the morning where you've not eaten anything. And the insulin basically comes out, and ideally, so for your hormones to be balanced, for your body to not show up any PCOS issue, your insulin levels should be under 5. Definitely under 10, but if you are really healthy, it should be under 5. This is when you know that your insulin is working really well. So what is insulin and how is it different from sugar? Sugar is something that basically is a measure of how much sugar levels you have in your bloodstream. So once you've eaten, the food is in your blood, the glucose is in your blood. Now this needs to go out from the blood and goes into the cell. That sugar is what you're measuring first thing in the morning, or you're measuring it after you've eaten. That sugar can actually go inside your cell, and your sugar levels might come out okay. However, for the sugar to go inside the cell, there is a gate that gets opened from the cell, and this opening gets done by the insulin. So insulin gets released and lets the sugar in. Now, for a healthy person, I might be releasing 5 units of insulin to put the sugar in. But in an unhealthy person, they might be releasing 15 units of insulin to put the sugar into the cell. So in that case, what you're trying to see over here is that insulin is actually trying very hard to do the same job. In one person, it is releasing only 5 units. In another person, it's releasing 15 units. In which case, it's telling you that when the insulin level keeps creeping up, at one point, the insulin will become resistant and it will stop responding. And at that time, the sugar levels will then stop responding. Sugar will not go into the cell, and the sugar will always be spiked up in your blood stream, and that is when fasting blood sugar, HbA1c, and your sugar levels post eating will go up. But that is too late. That can happen 4, 5, 6 years later than when the insulin starts to creep up in your system. So insulin could be that silent thing that you probably have ignored, which is silently going up in the background, and that is causing infertility issues. Because insulin, not only when it is continuously raised in your body, so instead of 5 units, if there is 15 units getting released in the body because the body is now becoming a little insulin resistant, then it will drive up your testosterone levels. Now, when the testosterone level, which is a male hormone, goes up in your bloodstream, then that then starts causing you hormonal imbalance, because now testosterone is up. To match the testosterone, even estrogen levels go up. So you have high estrogen, you have very high testosterone level, and a very low progesterone level, and insulin is also high. So this is something that creates a silent sort of a situation which cannot be picked up when you do normal testing. So you're thinking everything is going okay, but in the background the insulin is not getting managed okay. Now, what are the symptoms that will tell you whether there might be an insulin resistance issue? So one way would be obviously to test what your insulin marker is, and that will tell you whether insulin is high or not. So first thing in the morning when you've not eaten, your insulin fasting figure, if it comes out under 5, that you know that all is good. But if it comes out 20, 25, which we have seen in a lot of blood reports, then in that case, obviously insulin is high even when you've not eaten for 8 to 10 hours, which tells you that insulin is exposed in the body. And when insulin is there in the body all the time, what it does is that it also starts to store fat in your body. So it has two roles. One is to put the sugar back into the cell, and the second one is that till the point this insulin is floating in your bloodstream, it's not going to let you, it will keep storing more fat. It will not let go of the fat. So what happens is that now there are a lot of people who will say, I've not been able to lose weight, I've been trying everything, but my weight is just going up. Now this could be a typical insulin resistance issue. There could be very early signs of insulin resistance as well. So something like a dark line around your neck, which stays there, and when you take pictures you see that there's a dark line around the neck, that can be a very early indicator of insulin resistance. The second indicator could be a hump in your back, which can also indicate that there could be insulin resistance. The third indicator could be that you are feeling extremely sluggish and you want to sleep immediately after you've eaten. So you've eaten and then you feel like, oh my god, I just want to go and take a nap now. That is also an early sign of insulin resistance. So these are the signs to look out for. Get a test done, see if the symptoms are there, and also see if you're gradually putting on a little bit more weight year on year. Then that could be an indication that you're insulin resistant, and that can cause fertility issues in a big way. It can cause hormonal imbalance, it can cause PCOS, it can also throw your thyroid off, it can also give you poor nutrient absorption, and can overall impact your fertility issues. So you might see then that you're not ovulating on time, and that your periods are becoming scanty, or your the flow is not as how it used to be. So these are the markers which you can look at even before you go to a gynecologist. You can say, okay, this seems off for me, and maybe that is what we need to check. Now, there are some simple ways in which insulin can be controlled in your body. One of the ways would be that if you are, let's say, 10 kilos overweight. For example, your ideal weight, when you think that, everybody has their own set ideal weight where they perform really well and optimally. So, according to your BMI, for example, if you are, 5 feet 4 inches, and so 54 kilos is a good BMI, a good weight to have. Now, if you are someone who is 65 kgs, 66 kgs, then I would say that reducing that extra 8 to 10 kgs can actually improve your insulin levels dramatically. So reduction of weight over here can really make a huge difference. Now, how do you reduce the weight? You obviously start to increase your exercise. So you exercise more. One very good way to improve your insulin sensitivity is to use your leg muscles. So your leg muscles are 60 to 70% of your muscles are below your waist. So if you are not using your legs too much, and if you're sitting all the time and your movement is around 2,000 to 3,000 steps a day, that is it, then in that case, insulin resistance will start creeping up. So the first thing is that your physical activity should go up. So you should definitely go out and for a morning walk, do at least 6,000 to 7,000 steps. That single thing can actually impact your weight loss, and it also can impact your insulin sensitivity as well in a big way. So that's the first step that you can take. Other than that, how do you control your insulin levels is you can, when you're eating your food, you should keep gaps between meals, because it's very important. So only when you eat food and there is glucose in the blood is when insulin will kick in. So now if you keep gaps between meals, which is like 4 hours of gaps between the breakfast and lunch, then in between insulin gets an opportunity to go down, and then it starts to creep up again when you again eat. So keeping gaps between meals can be one wonderful way to improve your insulin levels. So don't keep snacking all the time, don't keep eating all the time, keep gaps between meals. If you are, let's say, 10 to 15 kilos above your normal BMI, then I would say 2 meals in a day would work wonders, because then in that case you're keeping 8-hour gap between 2 meals. You're not eating anything in between, and this will then help insulin come down. And when the insulin comes down, then that is when you will see that weight reduction will also start happening. And when you're doing exercise, that will also help in reducing that weight for you. So 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day with no snacking in between can improve your insulin levels. The third thing that we have seen is, which can really impact your insulin levels, is to eat slowly. This has metabolically been proven that people who chew their food properly and eat slowly can be a single factor which can improve their metabolism in a big way. So when you sit down with the meal and try to chew your food really, really well, so that it gets digested in your mouth properly, and then you are not putting too much pressure on your stomach. And in this way you will also be able to eat lesser portion of food, because your food, you will feel fuller much quicker, and the slower you eat, the better your metabolism becomes. The other thing that you can do is that a lot of people, what they do is, after, obviously if you are insulin resistant, then you feel very sleepy immediately after eating. So never ever do that, because when you immediately sleep after eating, then it slows down your metabolism even more, and it does not let the sugar levels come down. So never ever sleep after eating a full meal. So once you've eaten, then you just go for a walk, a 10-minute walk after your meal. Let the sugar spike come down, and after that you sit down and you have a warm drink. So any warm drink you can have, like a herbal drink, you can have a tea, coffee, or anything just wakes you up, because obviously you are sleepy because you're insulin resistant. So try not to sleep after meals. Walk 10 minutes after your meals. Chew your food really, really well. Keep the gap between the meals so that insulin gets a chance to come down. The other thing that can really make a huge impact on insulin sensitivity is eating an early dinner, because we have seen that melatonin and insulin, they tend to interact with each other a lot. So if insulin is high, then it will bring the melatonin level down, and it will impact your sleep. So when you have eaten, obviously the insulin will kick in, but if it kicks in around the same time that melatonin is kicking in, then it can interact and then can cause sugar spikes for you. So eating an early dinner by 6:37 if you've eaten, which is keeping a gap of 3 hours between when you eat and when you sleep, can help in bringing those insulin levels down, and that can have a major impact on your fertility. Another very important way to improve your insulin sensitivity is to do a workout on an empty stomach. Because what happens is that if you have eaten an early dinner and you've gone to sleep by 10:30 and you wake up around 7:30, 6:37, and you go for an early workout, there is no sugar in your body, there's no insulin in your body, and at this point, whatever energy that you will need to do a workout will come out from your fat reserves. So this will also improve your insulin sensitivity in a big way, that instead of doing workouts in the evenings, if you can shift it to an empty stomach workout in the morning, that can improve your insulin sensitivity a lot. The next point to improve your insulin levels would be to keep the hydration levels up, because if you are well hydrated, then you will also feel less hungry, and the cravings usually go. So usually people who have insulin resistance have a lot of sugar cravings, and that sometimes come because they feel that eating too many fruits is not good for them, so they avoid that, and they are also dehydrated. So if you can increase the number of fruits that you're eating, because that will give you the vitamins, the minerals, the water, the hydration that you're looking for, and it will also curb your sugar cravings in a big way, because now the sugar you're going to get from the fruits. And the second thing is stay hydrated. So keep drinking a lot of water between meals, and that can also improve your insulin sensitivity in a big way. The other way to improve your insulin sensitivity is to increase the fiber in your diet, because fiber will bulk it up and it will also help in detoxifying your body and also keep the constipation away. Because if you're constipated, your gut is not well, and your estrogen is not getting eliminated every month through with the fiber, then you will have a hormonal imbalance issue. So if you're looking to improve your insulin and you want to have the two meals, and make sure that they are very rich in fiber. So there are a lot of veggies and lots of fruits on the plate which can give you the fiber, which can then help you detoxify and also not give you the sugar spike, because fiber actually flattens the sugar spike for you. Another good way, if you're, for example, if you are someone who is overweight by 10 kilos and you want to reduce the 10 kilos to improve your insulin sensitivity, then fasting once a week would be great, because that will then also improve your sugar management, because when you don't eat, then there is no insulin in your body. And if the insulin is not there in your body, then it starts to let go of the fat. And it also starts to know that, okay, if I don't get sugar from outside, I can tap into my fat reserves and start getting energy from them. So insulin starts to become more active if you allow it gaps in between. So fasting once a week, maybe after Saturday, Sunday, when you've gone out, eaten out, just take a break on Monday and don't eat and just do a water fast for 24 hours. That itself, one step, can improve your insulin sensitivity in a big way. Now, there are some people for whom fasting doesn't really work, because they feel like fasting is not something that it's hampering their cycle, and in fact it's not helping them because they are missing a cycle. And in that case, you have to then be mindful of when you're fasting. So don't fast during your period or just 1 week before period. Once the period is over, after that you get 1.5 weeks when estrogen is high and your productivity is high, your energy levels are high. During that time, twice you can probably fast to improve the insulin sensitivity. So these were the tips that I wanted to give out for improving your insulin sensitivity, which could be a silent factor which might be causing the fertility issues for you. Because if insulin is getting managed properly, you can also make sure that your hormones will get balanced. And if the hormones get balanced, you will start getting a very good period at the end of the month. And a single thing will be a good indicator that the hormones are getting balanced, and that could lead to a very good egg quality, a good ovulation, and also a very healthy pregnancy. So I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, you can always put it down on the comment and I'll be happy to answer those questions. If you like the content that we are sharing here, please subscribe to the channel and share it with any of your friends, family who might need it. Thank you.